evening, keepers of the cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here. And tonight, in the co-hosting seat, is not Rob Fat Stacks of Comics, but Chris, the comic vet, taking over. And I got to
With
say,
the
guys, I've been looking
emptiest
forward.
wall in all the land.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking forward to this episode because Rob, as great a co-host as he is, I really wanted to see books that were personal to him. So I've really been looking forward to this episode. I've known Rob for a while, and I just wanted to let's hope we get a deeper dive into Rob tonight, guys. So with that, our guest, Rob Fat Stacks of Comics. How's it going tonight, Rob?
I'm Ducky.
Just Ducky. All right, and you already know how I leave this stuff off. Who are you?
That's
What's
right.
your channel about? Let's get to it.
Yes, who are you?
I was born a poor black.
Oh, I love. Now I'm gonna have to watch that movie. I love that movie so much.
Oh no, that is one of the
He
greatest
hates
openings
these
ever.
cans.
I'm Rob Fastax. Hey there, comic book friends and fiends. Rob Fastax here in front of the great wall of comics, and with me, as always, my co-host, the comic vet. So I have a channel. I came on after you guys kind of weaseled my way into every nook and cranny of the interwebs because that's the kind of guy I am, I suppose. I go hard.
And I've been piggybacking them off everyone.
And Chris, the comic vet, and I do a show every Saturday. Used to be called Slab Hub, but now we call it Only Slabs. And it's our monster that we love to run. I am a collector of I started recollecting comics about 13 years ago. No, 10 years ago. I have to do math right. Before that, I started even when I was younger, I didn't start until the early 90s. When I was out of high school, I was a late comer to comic books. Left. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, but I left when the whole clone stuff went ridiculous. Maximum clonage just had me actually sell off my entire collection. And then I got back in when my kid was young and wanted to start reading, and I wanted to get him reading, encourage it. We went to the comic book shop. I started buying him comic books, started buying a couple for myself, and reading everything that I was buying for him because hell, it was my money. And then he quit and walked away, and I just doubled down. And next thing you know, it was okay. I've collected books. Now I started getting into having books graded and started delving deeper, going back and building out some of my stuff, and getting really falling back in love again with Silver Age and Golden Age stuff, and starting to populate that stuff and just find too many rabbit holes. But essentially, on my channel, Saturdays we do the only slabs. Then Monday and Thursdays I open some boxes. Usually Monday mail call and Thursday some sort of mystery box or other thing that we do, and then hang around with you guys in community chats.
All right. And with that, let's say hello to our audience thus far. We have Brandon. Good evening. Tony Fett, first time seeing you on the channel. Welcome in, sir. Happy to have you. Chop and Drop. How's it going, buddy? Nice to see you as well. We have Las Cruces. Good evening, sir. Brian LCS. Good evening, Brian. Chris, how you doing tonight, sir? And we have, got a scroll. We have that's Chris again. Digger Jim, how you doing? Eddie, how are you, sir? I saw a Freaky Louie in there. We have Jerry the Jitterbug. We have Mark from Legion of Comics. Good evening, sir. And filling up quickly tonight, guys, we have Ignacio. Good evening, sir. Happy to see you. Zach from Zach's Collections. Good evening, buddy. How you doing? Another Rochesterian right there. Again, Freaky Louie. And with that, we are just about...
I always thought it was like a Rochesterer.
Rochesterian.
Rochesterian, wow.
That sounds like...
Is it anything like a Rastafarian?
It sounds like someone from Jamaica, man. Like a Rochesterian? That's pretty good. Learn something new every day.
There you go.
And don't forget, audience, while you're out there, we want to remind you that there's still time to go to cbcawards.org, where all the fine people here in this show have been nominated for some category. We hope that you... CBC Awards.
CBC Awards.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
The A stands for awards, but you combine together CBC Awards. Anyways, use that. Go there, see the list of people, check them all out, and vote. Hopefully you'll vote for us. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Either way, go vote. It's truly democratic, run by our good man there, Brian LCS, there in the chat. Please go out and do that. Bookmark it so you can do it. You can pay attention to us because, well, it's me. But you can go ahead and afterwards, it'll be time.
Joe. All right, and with that, Rob, let's get into some books, buddy. What have you got
right.
for your first tasty selection?
So this is absolutely the most ludicrously difficult show on the planet to come up with 12 books that you want to show, especially if you don't have a focus. Most people know, I find a squirrel rabbit hole, and I'm all over the place with what I'm doing. Trying to decide what I wanted to do was very hard. At the end of the day, I decided to go with a theme. So as most people know who watch my channel, I've really become fascinated with a lot of science fiction. And when I think science fiction, I think rocket ships, bubble helmets, ray guns, that type of stuff, right? And the old Buck Rogers, the Flash Gordons and stuff. And when I was growing up a kid, the Battlestar Galactica and stuff. But what got me there, when I think about it, what got me there is Star Wars. Star Wars was the foundation for all my love with science fiction and all those things. So today's theme will be an all Star Wars theme.
Ooh.
And sorry, Chris, with me, they're only slabs, brother. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to kick it off first. And people know I'm all over the place with the grading companies, and I don't care. First out of the batch is a PGX slab, but it is Kanan, the last Jet Padawan. This is issue number 1. This is the first appearance in cameo of the whole crew, including Ezra Bridger. And of course, when this one was printed, just the first appearance of Kanan Jarrus. Now the label, of course, has all the whole rest of the crew that has been shown up there that we expect to see in the Ahsoka or the Mandalorian movies and whatnot, as these guys start moving into the live action stuff. So this kind of been a bit of a big book.
Rob, who's the cover artist for that particular cover that you have there?
This particular one, this is Mark Brooks.
Okay.
And who is just a phenomenal cover artist.
Yeah. I actually thought, as you started to say Mark Brooks, I thought Gary's going to jump in there like, it's Mark Brooks, Chris. Like, come on.
So, Rob, no, not me. So, Rob, are you a fan of the animated Star Wars as well as the live action?
Overwhelmingly, half of it. I do like a lot of it. I do like the Clone Wars stuff. I like the Bad Batch stuff. I like the Star Wars. This Star Wars, the Rebels, was very good. From a ground laying of a lot of different story aspects of stuff that's out there throughout the greater Star Wars universe. I did not care for the follow-up to Rebels. I can't even remember what the name of the stupid show was. It was a horrible style of animation that didn't last very long, and whatever else. But for the most part, yes, I do enjoy the animation of it, even if some of it was, the Clone Wars stuff was very slow to move story points because it was really kind of written for a younger audience, especially the earlier stuff. So there was a lot of message elements to those. Loved the old original Samurai Jack style Clone Wars segments that were made for Cartoon Network by the guy who does the Samurai Jack. That was all Clone Wars initially before they relaunched it on the Disney stuff. That stuff was great, even though it was really short. A lot of cool stuff.
Nice. Now, being a Star Wars fan, what's your favorite droid in Star Wars?
Favorite droid in Star Wars? Well, you got to go with this. You talk about out of the entire universe?
Out of all the droids we've seen.
You've seen, so comics included.
Comics included. Seen or read. What's your favorite?
000 and B and BT1. Those guys are insane. They're the anti C3PO and R2D2 with a freaking body count longer than just about anything you could imagine. They're
That's Afra's droid you're talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They will take make a Terminator look like a child's plaything.
Nice. I didn't know if you were going to go the IG-88 route or something like that.
Yeah, I think you would think about it at first, but once you open it up to everything, when you step outside the movies, then you've got to go. You got to go with the those guys. They're funny as all hell and just purely homicidal. Like, I mean, it's absolutely insane to see a protocol droid and a R2 unit that are so fascinated with homicide.
Diamond, how you doing? All right, let's get you to book number 2.
All right. So these next two kind of go together a little bit for number 2 because they um, form the dyad. So first up, we get the Kylo Ren, Rise of Kylo Ren, Clayton Crane cover. Don't let it alone with your wife. But we got the Infinity. You got the Infinity signature on there. He kept it just the red and white to kind of go along with the saber. And the other half of that Force dyad, of course, a Peach Momoko, Rey, call me Skywalker.
And I love the forest around her in that.
Yeah, the background is actually fantastic.
This is absolutely one of the greatest Peach Momoko Star Wars covers. She's done quite a few. I like this one better than the Yoda cover that got a lot of hype.
I've never seen this one before, Rob. That's just stunning. That is incredible. Yeah. Yep.
So
they're actually both incredible covers, but my God, for total different reasons. And you want to keep that Rey cover away from anything to do with Clayton Crane. Anyways, let's move.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, with that though, what did you think of the new trilogy?
It was pure garbage. So here's the thing with the trilogy, the last trilogy. It was over reliant, first of all, on making your audience do homework. There are things in there that are never explained that if you don't read the expanded universe content, you have no idea what's going on. Why is it that you have the New Republic, you have this First Order, but Leia's got her own little branch of rebels still? She's supposed to be part of this government. We don't know. Oh, because you didn't read these series of books that told you that when she was outed as Vader's daughter, that she was kicked out and that she, and that these guys became ultra pacifists and didn't even want to have a military and blah, 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 blah. That type of stuff is if you're a casual follower,
Prudent.
It's kind of information that should be there. And there's all kinds of other stupid things going on. The fact that it was disjointed from one story to the next. The first one was really just a carbon copy of A New Hope.
Right.
There's a lot of different elements that go throughout it that, I will watch them. They have issues, but at the same time, I don't have the same affinity for them as the others. And I recognize fully that there's a lot of people who have rose-tinted glasses to the original trilogy. I'm one of the first big fans that will stand in line and say, hey, they are full of flaws too.
Absolutely. But they have, I think part of the magic of those first ones, though, is the cast chemistry.
Well, there's that, but more importantly, there's a story that goes throughout it.
Right.
That carries over. We don't change directions from one movie to the next. And that's part of the problem, was the fact that they didn't have an idea what they were going to do. Lucas had written most of his stuff out ahead of time. And even, or at least had ideas of what he wanted most of the way through. These guys just completely changed directions, different directors, off the rails. Let's go do our own thing. It's a muddled mess that they're having to do a lot of effort to fix using other mediums and such, to go back and try to fix elements of it to make it better.
I will say I did like a couple of the new characters, but they deserve better scripts for those characters than what they got.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could have been a lot better, but if they had things figured out, it's a nightmare of a trilogy, really, and it really does require a lot of effort for them to fix retcon.
It wasn't planned out. Every single one felt reactionary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They killed Luke.
Oof.
I don't have anything else to add. They jumped the shark as far as I'm concerned. Let's go.
Right. All right. Number 3, Rob.
All right. So when after the first trilogy, when years later, when we were adults now, and they launched A Phantom Menace, there was a character that just jumped out and captured everybody's imagination right away, and that was Darth Maul. And you had never seen anybody like Darth Maul. Double-bladed lightsaber? What the heck? His acrobatics and his fighting style? Insane. You just believed that he could take on multiple Jedi simultaneously and hold his own and everything else. He was amazing for the short bit we had him. But then they brought him back in the animation stuff and still made him a very interesting character, even if you found it a little difficult to believe he survived being split in half. Spoiler, sorry guys, the movie came out a long time ago. Catch up. But still, a great character, great fun character for that movie that really sparked a ton of imagination and just got you excited about it. And made you almost forget about Jar Jar.
Hands down, best lightsaber battle in all of Star Wars.
I still tingle when I hear that. When I hear that music hit, dun 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 dun. I said, "Oh my goodness gracious!"
Rob,
Now,
who's the
and
cover artist for
something-
this? Sorry.
This one is Rod Reese.
That is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
And something with that character, which is an example of when Star Wars is working right, is character design.
Yeah.
Character design is half of why I believe a lot of people imaginations are caught up with Star Wars. It's just, the different droids and
Yeah, and some of the stuff that they've done later on in the animation, bringing his brother Savage in and having him and Savage have this tie to the witches of Dathomir and everything else was really kind of really deep and complex. And the story and this, he has a lot of hands and a lot of different things as you go along. They really made him extend out. We know that he's part of the Crimson Reign, right? And just great. Of course, his ultimate demise at the hands of Obi-Wan on the planet of Tatooine. That planet of Tatooine, I'm gonna tell you, if I lived in the Star Wars universe, I would never go there.
Sorry, I had a kid interruption.
Yeah, Mark. Duel of the Fates, absolutely.
Now, what did you think though of because where those prequels hit was how fast and the Jedi battles were. You had Yoda jumping around, going crazy, and before you had slow choreography in the original trilogy with the fights.
And look, there's a lot of things that change with technology and everything else over time. So that's just like when you go back and you take a Star Trek episode that was filmed in the 60s and you go look at, a series like Discovery that's supposed to happen before it. And you go, well, why is the technology? Why aren't they plugging in tapes and stuff in here?
Right.
It's like,
I still remember Spock holding the foam rock against himself and you can see the rock move.
Right. I mean, I don't care about any of that stuff. I can suspend some of that disbelief and stuff and attribute to different things. The original trilogy, I remember, or when Phantom Menace at least first came out, I was not a hater. I was not. There were elements of it I didn't care for. I didn't care about Jar Jar, and still don't to this day. But I thought overall it was great because I knew in theory the story of Anakin having to grow up and eventually have this saber fight with Obi-Wan and fall into a pit of lava. I knew all that ahead of time. It had been spelled out in all the Star Wars encyclopedias and stuff. And as a true proper Star Wars nerd, I knew all that stuff. So I was really concerned for the movie coming into Phantom Menace, thinking to myself, what the hell are they going to do? This is going to be the most boring movie in the planet. It's going to be a young, here we get to be introduced to a young child.
Right.
And the fact that then they were able to do this stuff, start to build the political intrigue element and really lay the groundwork for how deep Sidious really mapped so much of this stuff to his long play to take over is quite deep when you go back and you look at it. But the amount of action that was in the movie was far and beyond what I had anticipated going into it. So I left satisfied. I remember going home and buying. I had to go buy that on Laserdisc. And the only way it wasn't sold in the States in Laserdisc. So I had to buy a Japanese bootleg import that with subtitles on it and stuff in order to have a Laserdisc copy that I could play, because I didn't want to watch it on VHS. I wanted that better quality video.
Now, I know George Lucas isn't watching, so I'm going to ask you, do you have the original unedited first trilogy?
Sure. I have both. Yeah. And I think
because he might show up at your house to burn them.
No, I have. I mean, I don't know if I have a Laserdisc player to play them on anymore, but the Laserdiscs are around somewhere.
All right, number 4, sir.
All right, number 4 is another double. Some more Rod Reese. Great stuff. We talked about these droids. So the first one, issue 1 of Dr. Aphra.
Oh.
You got, this is the 1:25 ratio variant. This featuring our two droids there that we're talking about, 000 and BT1. And then, this is kind of them, and they're just kind of like, hey, we're droids. We're cool, right? But then you had, hey, we're droids. We're going to kill you. Full-blown Gatling guns and missiles and freaking just the nutso stuff. This is the next 1:25. Or actually, this is issue 3's 1:25. I'm missing number 2, which is kind of like an in-between. It features more of the 000. But anyways, they're just a great little 1-2, the Rod Reese 1:25 ratio variants, featuring these two homicidal maniacs. Just absolutely awesome. I like the little Hal vibe you get from his, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Now, I've never seen those droids until now. Did they originate in the comics or the extended universe novels?
They originate in Darth Vader, issue 3. The same book brings us the first appearance of Dr. Aphra. You get these two guys show up for the first time. And they are basically, like I said, it's a protocol droid in an R2 unit, but their innards, we find later on, have been replaced. Their programming is replaced with hunter-killer droids personality. So they're basically in disguise, and they're just all about killing the meat bags.
For those of you who disguise,
for those of you that know the old lingo and know HK-47, meat bags.
Right. Oh, those are great. 000. What was the other one's name?
BT1.
BT1. All right, that's cool. I might have to look into that. That sounds really awesome. Yeah. Did they ever get their own miniseries?
No.
Not yet.
Well, that's a shame.
No.
They show up initially in the, like I said, the Darth Vader series, and then they primarily hang out in the Dr. Aphra series. Yeah. They come and go. Right now they're kind of away, but they're in the first volume. They're heavily featured throughout volume 1 of Dr. Aphra.
Yeah, if Aphra ever comes to the small screen, those two droids are going to steal the show. Unless you've read Dr. Aphra, you really have no idea when these two show up. They are going, like, you're totally going to forget everything else that's on the screen, because when those two unload, it is something to watch. And they're mouthy and they're terrible. Like, they are
just like
disgusting. I almost want to say disgusting people, but they're not people. They're robots. They're just next level stuff that you would never imagine in the Star Wars universe. And those two type of droids. And like Rob knows exactly what I'm talking about. Aphra is a fantastic character. But when those two show up, it's just, you're ripping through the pages as fast as you can go, because my God, what are they going to do now? But yeah, it's there's something else. And if you
Jackson says, if they're written like they are in the comics, true.
Yeah,
and they're not dumbed down for Disney,
right? But yeah, if they ever show up and they keep it somewhat close to their what their comic origins are and what their personalities are like, they are going to steal the show.
Now the only question with that, David, is if it's going to be a kiddie style droid series or if they're going to go whole hog into
Yeah,
what the droids really are.
no, it would probably not feature this. It would probably be more like the Droids comic, is be my guess, which is more kid focused. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so number 5, sir.
All right, so number 5 is another twofer. These two you'll understand. This is again 2 out of 3 books in a series. It was done by Greg Horn. One was a Star Wars number one, was Princess Leia number one, and one was Darth Vader number one. Unfortunately, I've not ever been able to find a Darth Vader number one in a high quality, high grade at anything of a reasonable price. So I'm stuck with just the 2 of the 3, but they're Greg Horn propaganda poster style
I
covers.
remember these.
So,
Yes.
so the third one, of course, is Join the Empire. But here you have the Don't Be Silent Now, Join the Rebellion, and you got the Force is with you. These just are awesome, awesome books. I ended up buying a set of these recently for my sister that I did a slab your own type thing that I sent to her for her birthday. And then this got me down. There's a whole book out there, actually, a coffee table book that's Star Wars propaganda art, where the whole book covers like all the movies, and it uses different style of propaganda poster arts to help tell the stories.
Those
And
are
is a
incredible.
phenomenal, phenomenal coffee table book. I recommend. But they're not amazingly, they're not valued very high, but I love these. These are like some of my favorite covers, probably some of the best damn Greg Horn work he's ever done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's up and down, but this is just
Well, I
awesome.
like Greg Horn a lot, and I've never seen those covers until right now, and those are probably some of the best Star Wars covers I've ever seen.
Rob,
Agreed.
can you hold up the Leia again?
Yep.
If you see right there over her, I guess her right shoulder, a million voices
Cried out.
Yeah, don't be
Yeah,
silent now.
the detail is awesome.
That's incredible. That's no space station. That's on the moon. That's incredible.
I mean, those are just straight up, beautiful
Look at that
propaganda
70s
pieces.
haircut too. Like that's just awesome.
The designs are incredible.
Yeah. I've like they're so good that like there's been many opportunities for me to get signatures on them, but while I generally don't fear cracking books, I refuse to crack these books because the backs of them are not. These GameStop powered up. So these were GameStop exclusives, and they were like you had to be part of their like GameStop Power Up Rewards program or whatever. And the backs of them all are like this, and they're like take a color rub like there's no tomorrow. It's just so.
But 9.6 is not bad. I mean,
on this book, it's about. I think last time I looked
especially
at the
from
census,
GameStop.
yeah, when I last looked at the census, 9.6 wasn't obviously the highest grade, but it was where the majority lie. Right? There's not a lot of 9.8s. I might be wrong now, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm remembering. But anyways, I'm super happy with them.
Wow. Yeah, those are gorgeous. Wow.
Yeah, and to be GameStop exclusive, that's things. Who's going to GameStop to buy comics, right? This was, they're a game store, first of all, and today's people go to comics, you're going to a comic store. So it was you had to go there. It's kind of like you had to go out of your way to go there to get that.
And then you hear the horror stories of how banged up their books are when they finally do get to them.
Right.
You got 2 9.6s. I don't think you could ask for much
those
better.
Guys don't. Yeah, the kids working there don't care. They were poly bags too, so they were in poly bags.
They had it all going against them.
What you didn't have is some acetate, but what are you gonna do?
Right, number 6, sir.
Right.
Those were incredible though. It kind of gave me Starship Troopers flashback with the propaganda.
Would you like to know more?
I would.
Well, Ross's boss, baby. So we all know Ross's boss, and this Darth Vader book. I mean, I fell in love with this cover. I got several Star Wars Alex Ross books, but the way that the reflections of the lightsaber off his armor and everything going. I mean, this is just
and that cape. Just
right.
It's just
I've never seen Vader like that before.
It's next level. And that's just what I love about Alex Ross. As a modern day artist, nobody is better than Alex Ross, in my opinion.
No.
And he is just always kicking it out of the park. And this book exemplifies to me some of the best Star Wars work he's done. Just those subtleties of I mean, look, you got the glow of the saber reflecting off him, but then you've got the actual reflection of the saber that's distorted on its angle because of the way the round helmet and stuff. You're like, those are details that really require somebody to set up
and add to the realism.
Yeah, I mean, you have to really kind of set up your models and stuff to be able to get that perspective to catch that, to be able to then reproduce it. There's an odd Roscoe where those troopers, Vader pops a squat in front of them. Well, he's kind of doing a superhero landing.
He's pulling Spider-Man there.
Right. All I can hear is Deadpool now. Ooh, superhero landing. Oh, that's a great book. All right, number 7, Rob.
All right. I think that no matter what you do when you present books, you have to present an homage at some point. Somewhere there has to be a cover that's homaged. And we know that Spider-Man homages are king. Now, I've never seen a ASM 300 homage in Star Wars or a Spider-Man 1. But how about your Punisher homage?
Yep.
So here you got Star Wars number 1.
I would have guessed a different book, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. So Star Wars number 1, you got Boba Fett tracking down Han Solo, and this is signed by Jeremy Bulloch, aka Boba Fett. So that's the OG Boba Fett actor.
Was that when Boba Fett was a badass? No,
that was when we didn't know anything about him. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
No, but what I want to say is that is an appropriate homage too. It's a fitting homage because it has it ties into the story of what you would see too.
Right. Exactly. The only drawback to this book is it's got a comment on the label. Let's talk about. There's a sticker on the label because Dave and Adams got the signature. And the one thing about, and as I've always claimed, is bad about a COA is that there's no link the COA to the book. Well, here there is, because they got the logo, the sticker that has a number, and that number is tied to the COA that goes to. So they're linked together. Now they could have put that on the back of the book or on the inside cover. I would have been happier than right on the front, but they did what they did. But still, it's a great book. Love the cover.
It is absolutely amazing.
And that's a Heroes and Fantasies, the largest comic book shop in Texas. Apparently.
It's funny. So it's a Texas book signed by a Western New York company.
Well, what
happens
to that book once it gets sold initially, All right.
Brian thinks that you should be on Only Slabs.
I kind of kicked off the
veto.
Right.
So the next book here.
All right, number 8. Yes.
Yeah. So again, another Star Wars number 1 from the volume 2. But I love Amanda Conner. Great cover artist. I love the sass that she puts into characters and stuff. She, the way that she'll draw female characters is just absolutely crazy. Well, she did a Star Wars cover, which is not something you would associate Amanda Conner with so much. And so here we have Star Wars number 1, signed by Amanda Conner, and you can just see the look like, Dad, you're embarrassing me. You're blowing up my planet.
Yeah, he kind of did. Yeah, that's
well, she won't be dating anybody from there, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Gonna have to look tattooing
go with your brother.
Wait.
Yeah. Good luck.
So yeah, I mean, I just love that look. Her looking over her shoulder. Jesus, Dad.
Right. No, that's great expression, and not every artist can really capture expressions.
Yeah.
Rob, hold that back up for a second. Yeah, it's totally. It does have that flavor.
It does have a different vibe, and there is a different Star Wars cover that I did not bring today, where it actually does have that homage to that painting. But
okay, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right, number 9. See, I'm liking this because I'm getting to see some books from you I've never seen before.
That should be 8. This is
Yep,
not.
this is
Yes,
now you're on
yes,
9.
yeah. I'm right. Correct. All right. So you gotta go at some point. Bringing all these, you've got to go to the OG book, right?
Oh,
So
nice.
so when I got back into collecting, and I went to Comic Con, my first con with my sister. While I had picked up my first slabs at that con were Wolverine and Guardians of the Galaxy #1. This was one of the first raw books that I picked up that I ever submitted to get slabbed. And so this one here now is triple signed. It is signed by Roy Thomas, Howard Chaykin, and Tom Palmer. The third signature is right here in gold, right on his helmet. But yeah, the original OG Star Wars adaptation, only a 9.0. I know your
Says the
choice.
guy who won his for free from that Spider-Man booth.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Rob, has that book had any TLC done to it?
Oh, it's been pressed every time it's gotten a signature.
Okay. Has it moved at all in its
No,
grading?
it's been a solid 9.0 every single time. The issues are not pressable with this book. As I recall, there's some rounded corners and some slight foxing
No.
and such with the book that just aren't going to change what the grade is. But I still, every time I sent it in for signatures, I had it pressed just to make sure I didn't lose anything. So
I've always
that's
had
a done book for me.
keep it up there because I've always had a question about this book and series.
Yes.
Obviously, Darth Vader is drawn quite differently.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because sometimes when you see something in a comic, it's based off original script or character designs? Was that an original Darth Vader design and it got changed for the movie, or was that just the artist's interpretation?
So this came out in '77. The movie had already been out for a year, over a year. So now this is just, I think, artist interpretation of the book, because the characters are likenesses, but not exact likenesses, right? You're inspired. So like, yeah, I mean, there's always certain look. I can't tell. I think when you go through these 6 books, Luke Skywalker has a lightsaber in like 3 or 4 of them. He has no lightsaber. This stuff. This is just just comic books giving you stuff to grab your attention and pull you in. Comic book covers don't have to have anything to do with what's going on. But if you hadn't seen the movie somehow,
yeah, like Obi-Wan's got
the
Bee Gees collar going on there instead of the hood. Like, yeah.
Right.
But
what an epic sci-fi cover, though. You got
right.
Yeah.
Now it's interesting that you mentioned that, because as we go to number 10, there is a book and a series. So there was an original treatment that was called that Lucas did, where you had some differences. You had Star Killer and some other different elements that were different, and they did release that as the Star Wars, and it was released not only in a comic book run, but was also released in the collector's edition, bound all in one. I do have that, and I have the complete run. But sometimes, and so you do have the original kind of design elements that go into those characters, right? But because this is book number 10, you have to go with a 10.
I like that Vader's got that Motorhead feel to him there. Yeah,
that is completely so different.
Yeah. If you can picture the Motorhead logo from the old Lemmy band, that's very similar to what you're looking at there. Yeah. Who's the cover artist for this one?
Working on advanced stills.
This one is Mike Mayhew.
Okay.
Still doing Star Wars art to this day.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
And of course, a poster that's been homaged tons of times too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
National Lampoon's Vacation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Rob, what's on the back of that book? Is there any Star Wars flavor to it? Yep. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Here you go. You guys want you download the app, you get 20% off your first orders.
Right.
I don't have an iPhone.
Yeah.
Now, what year was that book, Rob?
This is 2013.
Okay, so yeah, so still a little bit, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah. But I just thought it was great to come after that one, and of course it was great that you teased into it, but you have to have a 10.0 graded comic for number 10, right?
Right? Why not?
Are you going to pull out 11 now for with
Right.
with
We're going to turn it up to 11.
We're going to Spinal Tap this bitch.
All right, let's get to the one with a personal story attached.
All right. So last year, a few of us in the comic book community got together at C2E2. And while we were there, we were going around. I spent a day just getting books signed. And of course, eventually there was an artist that is very popular among some of the members of our community here, and goes by the name of John Zhang. And while we were there, he had a book that had come out that was on the shelf there, and it was just amazing. Another Darth Maul, great cover, totally dug it. He had one book left, and I picked it up. It was $80 for this book.
Wow.
Along with that book, I picked up this print,
Wow.
Yes.
the Battleship Yamato,
Yes.
from him. This was like close. I don't know. This was like $180 or something like that. I think it was, or 150. I don't know. Anyways, all told, I had spent over $200 with him. Wanted to get this book. He asked me if I want to get this book signed, and I said, yes, I want to have this book signed. I had a witness with me because we were going around getting some books signed. I witnessed it. $20 for the signature. This is the notorious $20 book signature that people have heard me bitch and complain about. That after I spent over $250 with them, homeboy had the balls to charge me $20 more to scribble that little name on there. Even though like he's giving away signatures free to everybody else, but because I had a witness with me, $20, little man.
That's not true.
Put that shit in my hand.
He was not giving free autographs to anyone that day.
Oh man, this is so it's become a point of like I'm just like totally irritated with it thing, but it's a story that I get to tell over and over again. And a lot of people have heard me reference the $20 signature, and we've heard us talk about it, and so that's what this is. This is that book, the $20 signature book, when I had already spent money with the man.
Right. You think after you spend $200, he could at least throw you a sig.
Right? Oh, this sig was free. On the print, that was free.
The pen isn't that good though.
Not that one.
But it's a gorgeous cover though.
No, it's still a great cover. I totally dig it. Came back 9.6, so that's fine. I don't care. It's not going anywhere. It's just sitting in the collection. It's good work. Don't get me wrong.
Now, is Darth Maul your favorite villain, or is Darth Vader, or is it someone else entirely we don't know about?
Darth Maul is not my favorite villain. He definitely is exciting. Probably one of the more exciting. I think what they've done with him in the expanded universe has been great. As far as best villain, that's really tough. I mean, I have an affinity for Darth Vader, even though I will joke that Darth Vader really, what did he do? I mean, he killed some kids that were unarmed. He killed up until recently. We basically saw him. He killed some kids. He chopped off the hand of an untrained, his own son who was untrained, and he chopped down an old man who surrendered. So and John, I think John lives near me actually. So apparently, according to stars. But I mean, up until recently, that's what we saw of Darth Vader, and it's like, why is he really this feared person? All we've seen him do is nothing.
And then Rogue One.
Rogue One happened. The last 10 minutes you went, ooh. And then the Obi-Wan series, just doing Vader Aikido. I'm not even going to fight you with my saber, bitch. I'm like, oh, that's some shit. And then in the comics, some of the stuff that they've had him do, taking down, you go, oh, okay, so redeemed him, right? So Vader is probably my favorite of them all, especially as you go into some of the Darth Vader series that they've been doing in these different volumes with these elements of bringing in, the story that, okay, he knows that Luke's his kid, but the Emperor doesn't know he knows, and he's always trying to, these plots he's trying to do to try to circumvent the Emperor and stuff. It's just been really kind of interesting. But at the whole time, even all the stuff that he was doing through the Crimson Reign run, he's caring about the Empire. He still thinks that he's trying to bring order to the galaxy, and so he still has this reasoning for what he's doing, even if it's misguided. And that's what makes a character
I was gonna say that's what makes a good villain, though.
Yeah, exactly. He has a reason for what he's doing. It's just kind of out there. So, yeah, very cool.
And Darth
Vader puts ketchup on his steak.
On anyone with that breathing.
If Darth Vader he can't catch up with anyone because he can't run. Right. But he is the ultimate, like that
jumping jacks
guy. You're walking down a dark hall and he's just keeps coming no matter what, right? Yeah, he can't lift his hands above his head. It's just that's how. But he'll still kick everybody's ass, and it's like, all right, dude, badass. Well,
what did you think about them bringing back Darth Maul and having him up with the robot body?
As I mentioned earlier on that, I mean, I wasn't originally thrilled with it. I thought it, in the end, it's still kind of what they did with it beyond that. It was like, okay, you've at least done good stuff with the character, I felt. Even if I thought it was kind of just far-fetched, that, but they've turned it now Star Wars has kind of turned it into this whole thing. Like, if your hate and anger and desire for revenge can make you survive almost any wound through the, if you hate enough, that it will drive you to be able to try to overcome and adapt to take on your enemy. I mean, it was kind of like what they alluded to in the Obi-Wan series, and ties back to what they've done with Sidious Sidious, actually, in the new stuff, and then the whole stuff here with Darth Maul.
Now, what about his
and actually some of the Vader stuff in the comics too, when they basically
his little cameo shot out in the Han Solo flick? How'd you like that?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, is he's tied in with all that Crimson Reign. I thought that it was an interesting idea. I wish that they had they would have been able to kind of go back to that and build that out. And I think they kind of have a little bit in the comics, but I thought it was interesting to bring him into that, because we do know from the Clone Wars and everything else that they're doing that Darth Maul started to get involved in the whole criminal empire stuff, and he could be brought up, even if he's long gone. He could be brought up at least in this whole Mandalorian stuff, because he's involved with the whole, original stuff with Sabine Wren, or not Sabine Wren, but what's her name? The actress. The whole stuff with the fall of Mandalore. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. I kept saying Kara Thrice. That's not it.
Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff's character, but. Hate keeps you alive. Love lets you turn into a friendly ghost. There you go. So if you want to be Casper, love one another. But if you want to live forever,
you got to be evil.
Hate somebody with a passion.
Now, I thought we'd see it tonight, but we didn't. What's your take on Ahsoka Tano?
So Ahsoka Tano is a very interesting character that I admire. I like the character. She's a great foil throughout the Clone Wars for Anakin, and I like the way at times they play off each other, and how you can see how she's not the typical Padawan, because Anakin's not the typical master. Right. How it goes, and how at times she flirts with the dark side, even potentially. Bo-Katan, thank you. I'm not all goo goo gaga over her necessarily, but I do like the character. I love Rosario Dawson's casting and what she's done with the character thus far.
I
And
just
I
think
am
when Rosario Dawson gets cast as anything.
yeah, never a bad, it's never a bad choice. And I'm excited to see them continue that story with Thrawn and all that stuff. Definitely love it. I did not bring Ahsoka Tano up because you know what? I don't have that first appearance Dark Horse book, and
Wow.
the other first appearances within the MCU continuity I have aren't slabbed. So
All right.
Look for the Disney Plus Night Nurse Ahsoka Tano crossover show where
just go back and
Rosario
watch Clerks
Dawson
2.
plays both roles.
Just watch Clerks 2. That's all we need.
Right. So true.
Yeah,
All right, let's get to your spec
he does
picks.
ABC justice.
Right.
All right.
Give you a kink in your neck.
So spec book time. So when it comes to spec book in Star Wars, I mean that's just about anything. I could bring up any countless Star Wars High Republic books, obviously, because that's a whole era that they're looking at going into. You could bring in almost anything, but in keeping with where my love of a character goes, that and I think this is not like a far-reaching spec. Don't get me wrong here, guys. Everybody and their brother has spec'd on this book. This is why this book is worth what it's worth, because everybody knows that Disney is stupid if at some point they don't bring this character in. And that is, of course, Dr. Aphra and those droids. So they made their first appearance in Star Wars 3. So there's the first appearance, right? And then I do have the second printing. This was actually the first copy I picked up because when I picked mine up in the store for my son, the first printing had been sold out. I couldn't get it. Let me tell you, people, we'll go to my soapbox here again. Second, third, and fourth printings are not worth more than a fucking first printing. It's not rarer. It's a fucking consolation prize that you get because you missed out on this one.
Right,
It's like,
they
oh,
redid it.
sorry. Here you go. Okay, you get a color shift. The fact that any of these subsequent printings is sold by speculators for more than the first printing is because they've sold you a song and a dance to try to make you think that it's rarer because there's less of them out there. That's true that there's less of them out there, but it's the freaking consolation prize. Good day to you, sir.
This is what you get for being late to work.
Exactly.
That's right. So there you are. But this one's signed by the cover artist, Adi Granoff.
Yeah.
There were 4 printings of this book. And this is the traditional color shift, right? So you have the originals blue, you have the orange, then you had a green, and then you had a purple in the color shifts on there. And that's the same on all these Star Wars books in this first run. But so, anyways, first appearance of Dr. Aphra, your first appearance of 000 and BT1. And then, of course, you have an appearance. It's not the first appearance, but there's also an early appearance there of Black Chrysanthemum. His first appearance, of course, was Darth Vader 1, which was the Ross's boss cover. I forgot to mention that, but yeah.
Nice.
Another great thing about this character, why, not only is it an original character, which is fun, it's a mix of kind of Indiana Jones. She's an archaeologist, but she's kind of roguish, that she's not necessarily out to try to make sure that artifact goes in the museum. She's all about going ahead and lining her pockets, right? You got the great supporting cast, and then she's also an LGBTQ character. So it allows you, for those people that are interested in having diversity, it's a female and it's a member, checks your boxes. It screams Disney all over it. If that doesn't scream Disney spec, I don't know what does.
It's just those 2 droids. I don't know how they're going to cross them over, but I hope they do. That's a hell of a spec book. My LCS had it for a while, and I stared at it forever. It's just outside my price range for that little bit, but that's incredible.
Yeah, gorgeous stuff, Rob. Now,
Star Wars. Pew pew.
Having said all that and seen all those
On
books,
shot first.
Where do you want to see Star Wars go from here? Either on Disney Plus or movies. What are you looking for as a fan?
So I would like them to go ahead and wrap up your stuff that you're doing with this with Thrawn, right?
Trolling the shit out of them.
So I wouldn't mind that they can go ahead and wrap up the stuff with Thrawn, but ultimately I'd really like to see them go back to. They got the right idea. They started launching this idea of the High Republic and stuff, and let's go back. Let's go to a different era. I mean, the original concept of Rebels, what Lucas originally had it as an idea for a live action that became the animation, which was, hey, let's go to the Star Wars universe and let's go around the corner and here's a whole new group of people, right? But then they just couldn't help but eventually to tie them into all the established stuff. So instead of trying to shoehorn and squeeze all this stuff in here, we have a lot of history and there's a lot of EU that exists, whether you can borrow from the High Republic era and stuff, not only from the beloved video games from that time, but there's a lot of other stuff that ties in there. Right? Yeah, I mean, I still once a week log in and play the MMO for Star Wars, the Old Republic. So that Old Republic and High Republic era are fun. I'd love to see them go there. I'd love to see them do that. There's always been rumors that potentially we're going to do there, but it's a whole blank slate, and I'd love to sit there and come up some new stories. And it doesn't even have to be focused on one. I mean, you could do a whole thing with when you have that many Jedi that are running around there. You can take like your police procedural that you normally write and turn it into the Jedi peacekeeping force, and whatever.
Right. And not everybody's got to be tied to a Skywalker legacy.
Absolutely, right. And so I'd like to see that. That's where I'd like to see it go, where I think it's best chance for successes. I just think that most of the Dark Horse stuff that was done, well, there's some of that from that era. Oh, I think you're just best to get away from the Skywalkers and get away from this.
He's completely in trouble.
The same 70 years of time or 50-year time block, right? We can get outside of that and move on.
They just need to find a good hero and a good villain from previously, and I think Darth Nihilus is the one to build from.
There's a lot of good heroes, and like Rogue Trader said, KOTOR. It was like the Knights of the Old Republic stuff. I mean, there's a lot of great content that was done in those stories for the 2 video games, and then also the current MMO that I'm playing, the Old Republic. Also, even though it's set hundreds of years later, it continues and borrows and touches on a lot of that established stuff and builds a constant thing. It's all great content. You don't have to copy it because, you probably have to pay BioWare and stuff, but you can be inspired by these things. There's a ton of EU content that exists. And again, it's not necessarily canon, but you can borrow heavily from it and use it as the framework. Don't feel that you have to try to create everything from scratch.
Now, there's something I really enjoyed, which a lot of people didn't. So I was going to talk about video games, which you've obviously played a lot of them. But I enjoyed the campaign of Battlefront 2, which I know a lot of people didn't. I was a big fan of the Iden Versio character played by Janina Gavankar. And I would like to see a series with her. And I also read the book they put out with that character, which I thought the book was really good too. Did you like that at all, Rob?
I know of it, but I never read it and I never played the game. When I played the games, I've spent the better part of probably 17, 18 years playing 2 Star Wars games. The current MMO, Star Wars, the High Republic, or Star Wars, the Old Republic, and the game before that, which was Sony's Star Wars Online, I think is what it was called. I can't remember. Now, all of a sudden I'm going, SWOTO, I can't, no, I'm going blank. But anyways, those 2 MMOs I spent most time. Before that, it was like, X-wing and that, or a TIE fighter squadron or something. I don't know. You put the diskettes.
Right.
In. I was putting diskettes in at that point, right? I wasn't into any really the first person shooter or type Jedi games and stuff that came out subsequently. Although I did play, was it the one was they had one that was set with
Yeah, that
Darth
new
Vader's
character.
Darth Vader's secret apprentice that turns out to have been a clone. Of some Jedi, but he's it was really wasn't a Star Kill. It was Star. I don't know. Anyways, it was an interesting game a little bit, but I'm not a console guy, so I didn't have a lot of that stuff, and wasn't really getting too deep into video games on my computer other than those MMOs. I just kind of got hooked onto those for so long.
And did you read the novels too? Were you big into the novels?
So back in the day when the novels first started coming out, yes. Heir to the Empire, the courtship of Princess Leia, the truce at whatever. All I read them all. And then they became like Star Wars books. There were 18 billion coming out every week, and we've established, some people watching the interviews, I am not a quick reader. I'm not I can read everything fine, no problem, but I think I have some dyslexia. It's a challenge to stay focused when reading, and I just tend to fall asleep because I can't, because it's too difficult to sit there and spend extended times reading. So yes, read Splinters of the Mind's Eye back in the day, and there were some old Han Solo little stories that I remember reading back in the day, back when I was a kid. But yeah, the modern stuff, it just started getting kind of carried away, too many of them too fast. And so now I kind of rely on my son to fill me in on some of those things. Like I had to ask him, why is Princess Leia got her own group? Why is she not part of the Old Republic? Oh, or the New Republic. And he's like, oh yeah, that's in this book, and blah 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 blah. I'm all, okay.
Nice. Now, before we start wrapping up, we have to know, of course, what's your favorite movie out of the original trilogy?
I'm going to go with A New Hope, actually, because on its own, it's the best of as a standalone movie that doesn't require anything else, because it was written that way. It was essentially built out story all around it, but never knew if he was going to get to do a sequel. So as its own individual movie, it stands alone the best.
Right, as a complete piece, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I know.
Empire and Jedi.
Look, The Empire Strikes Back is the easy answer, right? It's because it had that what moment and stuff, and you were surprised and everything else. And I remember it being great and all that stuff, but it doesn't stand alone on its own. And if I'm sitting there going to say what's the best from that stuff, I'm going to have to go with A New Hope.
Nice. And what is the moment that shocked you most when watching a Star Wars movie?
I guess maybe probably The Empire Strikes Back. The whole "I'm your father, he never told you I'm your father" thing. That's just kind of got to be the that's the OG shock, right? The whole thing. So
let me ask you this, Rob, about it. What was the bigger coup for George Lucas? Getting Alec Guinness or getting Peter Cushing to become major characters for the first film?
I think Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
I mean, just because his legacy looms larger, if nothing else, over those films. Peter Cushing is great. Does an amazing job in that role. The fact that they felt they had to bring him back in digital form, is that. But I mean, the impact that Obi-Wan has, and the way that he sets that character up, as he carries, and the gravitas of an actor of that magnitude in that role,
both
doing
of them.
this right. But but I mean, really, his role is the bigger role, right?
Right.
So I mean, I think to get that, and granted, he just was collecting a paycheck. Alec Guinness is like, whatever, pay me.
Well,
But
that and I think what he did for that movie is you had a bunch of unknown actors in there, but he added legitimacy to the film with his presence.
Yeah,
And
I
I think
always
they thought if I remember right from a documentary I watched, I think and I could be completely wrong, but I thought they didn't think they could get him and were surprised to get him.
Yeah, I always I agree. They went out and got an actor that's knighted. Like Sir Alec Guinness was something that was established, and
Mhm.
but I always thought it was fascinating. They went out and got a master of American horror in Peter Cushing to come in and play the secondary villain, and just
Well, let's
he
be
was
honest. At
so
this point,
classy as
in
such a terrible villain, just like
well,
that perfect military mastermind.
you got to remember that Tarkin at this point in the Star Wars lore is essentially an equal to Vader. Vader's just he's the Emperor's,
Just the right hand.
his avatar essentially,
Yep.
but has no command over the military at this point in time and is viewed by, you can see it in the way that Tarkin talks to Vader, and
Let him
Vader
go.
doesn't Vader never attempts to try to force choke or think that I'm going to wipe out. You never got the sense that of all the military people in that room, he wasn't going to get wiped out because Tarkin had, Palpatine's ear to it was on considered an equal, despite the fact that he wasn't a force user because of his perceived brilliance, tactical brilliance, and everything else. And so it's quite the thing.
Nice.
So having a horror actor is a great thing to have that role, because here's
Especially
somebody.
as a villain.
He's so horrific that he's willing to blow up your planet, girl, in front of your dad. What do you think of that?
Even up to that point, he was a legendary American horror actor, right?
Right.
Cushing's not known for his Shakespearean stuff, as whereas Alec Guinness,
Right.
the Bridge over River Kwai and Shakespeare
Sir
as well.
Alec Guinness.
Right, so I'm saying Sir Alec Guinness, right? And it was, it's just which way you want to look at it. I think the bigger coup, obviously, Guinness was the bigger name worldwide. Cushing, I thought, was the bigger name inside of the United States. Either way, they both delivered.
It's a phenomenal 1-2 punch.
Yeah, they both delivered, and out of that, who would have known Harrison Ford would have been the biggest name of them all?
That's a great ensemble.
Yeah. Right? That's just the magic. You never know when the cast is going to click and make something special.
That's right.
I
So it just goes to tell you that if you struggling actor forget waiting tables, you should be building sets so you can always be the guy who gets called in real quick to do stand in real quick and do a read with these guys real quick.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. All right. So, Rob, that was absolutely fantastic. I love the Star Wars theme and dive down that hole. I like that. I got to actually see your passion for Star Wars in this episode tonight. It was great. And here I thought you were going to go Spidey. I like that you completely surprised me and went in a different direction. So that was awesome. Really love the books. And I got to say, a couple of those covers I had never seen before, especially those propaganda covers were amazing.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
That one and the one by the Master, just fantastic.
But let's go around the horn. Chris, what's coming up for you?
Tomorrow I'll be having a new comic book day hangout where hopefully some people decide to join me on the panel and show off some of the books they picked up that they're going to be reading over the next week or so. I'm planning on doing a Walmart video by the week's end. And yeah, man, that takes me way back. And Saturday, you'll find me on Only Slabs. I believe Nerdy Girl, is the guest. If I'm wrong, my co-host will correct me. Sunday, Two Cool Guys Swap Picks will be dropping. And next Monday, everyone, please, if you have a little bit of time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, check out my channel where I go live for my 800 subscriber giveaway.
And congrats, by the way.
Thank you. I decided to do just a small little grow together. The Godfather here gave me permission to move forward with it, and
You don't need my permission for anything.
And it turned out to be a success. So I'm going to be giving away a CGC 9.8 ASM Inyuk Lee variants, a couple of signed books, and a big monster box right here, full of special books, kindly donated by Retro Rocket Comics. And again, next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure that you're in the live stream to have the opportunity to win some of these prizes. Thank you, Gary.
Oh, you're very welcome. And Rob, what's coming up with you? You might be sharing a show with this guy this Saturday, which might get plugged again right now.
Sure. Well, Thursday, I'll be unboxing some submission from CBCS that's left purgatory after a very long time.
That may deserve a bigger round of applause.
Yeah. So there'll be a CBCS unboxing. I think it's about like 12 or 15 books. So it'll be a good episode. And then Saturday, of course, is Only Slabs. And yes, Nerdy Girl will be making an appearance this week on Only Slabs. Then Monday's back to, good old fashioned mail call. We rinse and repeat over and over again. And I show up here and there and everywhere.
Right.
Oh, and please, if you haven't, for some reason, subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it. We're close to 900. I'm not doing a giveaway at 900. I'm sorry, I haven't done a giveaway since 500. But at 1,000, to the moon, Alice. We've got to make up for the fact that we haven't done one for a while. And finally, I would just
Taylor Winder.
Yeah. And the last thing I'd like to plug, if I could, is simply that I want to remind everybody to pay attention and watch for more information coming up. October 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Comics Curing Cancer will be the community campaign that we're doing here. We'll be holding it across multiple channels. Some of it doing a mix of content with some pledge drive stuff, with some auctions and selling and stuff, and that's going to culminating with our big main auction on the 21st. So stay tuned for that. Also, Chris doesn't know it yet, but part of our plan for content on my channel is going to be we've had asks of it quite a bit for Only Slabs is Only Slabs quickies. Going to give some people some opportunities to come on after our regular show and continue to come on and only show people who don't have 30 something books, want to just show 5-10 books, come on. Chris will be organizing that. I'm asking him to right now live to organize the guests for that. So I'm hoping he's going to say yes. But anyways, if you're interested, ping me, ping him, whatever. And we're going to be doing that as some more stuff. And then, of course, also want to pay attention. Other folks like the Rogue Trader's got a show coming up in November, I think it is. He'll be putting out more information, a little mini con in his area, benefiting C3 as well. So, that's a lot.
Nice. All right, and coming up on my channel in 2 nights' time, we have Cole's Comic Claims on In the Hot Seat with the Usual Suspects. So I still got to get with my crew to see who's going to confirm themselves to be co-hosting that night. But that ought to be a fun show. Cole finally was able to get his schedule cleaned up to get on the show. So we've tried a couple times, so it's going to be fun. Saturday night, on the Saturday night edition of the 1011, we have Pocan Joe himself coming on. So that'll be a fun episode. And so that's it. My usual Savage Saturday comic reviews, part 2 of the Solomon Kane story, which I was getting great feedback from. So thank you guys for that. But that's it for now, guys. I want to thank everyone in the audience for coming out to support these two fine gentlemen on my show and to support the channel. Everyone's links are in the description below. Please sub them up. Go check out their content. If you're catching this on the rewind, we already know the people in the chat do. If you're new to this channel and you're new to seeing these two, go check them out, guys. You'll enjoy yourselves. Two great gents I'm happy to call friends.
Two guys with one show.
That's right. And until next time, keep it casual. Attention all, use channel sponsor Rogue Trader at theroguetraderutah.com and my code Keep It Casual for 10% off your comic cleaning and pressing needs. Remember, when submitting your books to be graded, use a trusted professional.